Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole. On our podcast, we delve into the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
That's right, Nicole. Our podcast is all about exploring those fundamental truths and practices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, Christina, we want to make metaphysical concepts easy to understand and accessible, especially for those who don't have a ton of time to do all the research.
Right? We'll do the research as well as share our experiences and perspectives, hoping to empower you, our listener, to find balance and magic in your day-to-day.
Inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root, let's explore the roots of well-being and self-healing together.
This is The Radical with Christina and Nicole, two metaphysical girls in the material world. Hello, welcome to the Radical Podcast. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole.
Today's podcast, we're talking about what we wish we knew when we were younger, when we were in our careers. There's some things I wish I knew last week. And also we're going to do some field notes from our summer break. Because we are at the end of our seasons, we're kind of starting to wrap up some things.
Being a little reflective. And some of my notes are things that I wish I knew when I kind of started my spiritual journey.
I didn't think about it until this very moment, but I didn't include anything about what I wish I knew when we started podcasting together, because I can remember so clearly the things that I was so afraid of. And how I feel about that now is completely different. And that was just not even a year ago.
I don't think I mentioned much on that either, but I wonder if it'll come up.
I feel like my notes are rambling and not very organized per usual. Listeners, we're just going to go back and forth between the two of us. And we're going to talk about some things that we would have liked to tell our younger selves in relationship to the things that that I find that I value things differently now than I did when I was 25 and 35, even 45.
Yeah. The wisdom that I would give younger me.
Yeah. We'll have a conversation about this, and then we have a message from the universe. I'm using the Goddess Power Oracle deck. Yes. I love this deck. The artwork is so beautiful. We'll just dive right into it here for this podcast. I'm going to start with my first section, and I have it divided up from like my teens into my 30s. But it really is just about when I was younger and I was in the peak of my professional career, but also in the time when I was in my most actively engaged with other people, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. When I was in the military, I was always surrounded by people. So anyway, I would like to tell myself to relax and enjoy myself. First of all, don't take everything so seriously. There is space for joy and happiness. Sometimes I feel like I was overly concerned about doing everything right, that I didn't take the actual time to spend enough time enjoying myself. Also, I would have liked to have not been under the pressure of searching for a partner. If I could tell myself directly that the date and the age that I would actually have my marriage, I would tell that to my younger self so that I could just freaking relax and not worry so much about finding an ideal partner. I would have loved to have gone on more dates, had more conversations with people, and not sort of written off people just because I knew that they weren't going to be a romantic partner, that just actually spend more time talking to people and getting to know them.
I really like that. I really like that.
Build more friendships and interesting people. But there's, I felt a lot of pressure being in the military, and there's few women and a lot of men, and you did have to have a lot of boundaries. And I was overly concerned about perceptions and assumptions and living up to other people's expectations. But at the end of the day, I would also like to tell myself, don't be so afraid about what you think other people are thinking about you, because it doesn't matter at all. Whether I was in high school and I didn't want to wear a shirt that I liked but nobody else was wearing, whether I was in the army and going on a date with this person that I wasn't going to be in a relationship with would have been controversial or would have raised eyebrows. So what? Yeah, I would have liked more freedom from being worried about what other people were thinking about me or what other people's expectations were on me when I was in my 20s and 30s.
I think that's one of the best things about getting older is you stop caring as much. And it's so freeing to release those expectations and those worries, because one thing I hear people say a lot is, you don't matter that much. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was somewhat offended. I was like, how dare you? I'm very important. But what they're trying to convey is, no one's paying that much attention to you. No one's giving you that much thought.
Yeah.
They're thinking about themselves. So don't worry about what they think of you, because they're probably not thinking about you.
Yeah. All the people that I thought were so important when I was 20, whether they were friends, relatives, work colleagues, work superiors, bosses, doesn't matter at all. None of their opinions matter at all in the grand scheme of my life. But when you're of that age, you think it's everything to please and to be pleasing and to be productive and to do the right thing. Oh, it's wild. It's wild. But also, I wanted to tell myself, you are so capable. You are so capable. Don't avoid what you need to do. You're so capable. Spend more time working on the things you struggle with. Don't worry about it. Just do it. You're so capable. You're so capable. And just because we did the podcast on minimalism, I would like to tell myself at 30 years old, you are not going to have 80% of these possessions when you're 50.
Stop buying clothes.
80% of everything that's around you will not be in your life when you are 50 years old. I would like to tell my younger self that.
Yeah, stop buying costume jewelry, stop buying high heels.
Oh my gosh, things on sale, things on these special like discount websites. Just stop buying these things. Anyway, cuz they're gone. I don't have them. I don't have any 80% of what I had in my apartment and in my first little home. I do not have in my life. 80% of those things are gone. Like they never existed.
They got purged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this topic was actually one of our first podcasts that we did. It was really fun to look at the notes that I wrote about a year ago. A lot of what I wrote down still would be sort of advice or wisdom I would want to pass on to my younger self. It's almost like in this last year that wisdom has come into focus and become very relevant. One of the pieces of advice I wrote down, taking it slow and easy is not weakness. I remember talking to you in our first rendition of this podcast about using blocks in yoga classes and how we kind of came from a background in a studio where blocks had to be encouraged over time. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people just sort of wanted to force their bodies into the poses. And that was sort of this metaphor for this idea of having support in your life or modifying things so that they feel better. That applies to like the physical practice of yoga, but also just to like my life in general.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've gotten older, I enjoy physical practices that are slower and gentler, things like walking in nature or doing qigong as opposed to going to the gym and lifting weights, running. This idea of taking things slow and easy really has been on the forefront of my mind the past several months because of Epstein-Barr virus
Mm.
and being forced to take it slow and easy. This theme was also one of my New Year's resolutions. I wanted to get in touch with more of my yin essence, my intuition. There's a saying that I've heard, and it's my race, my pace. But for me, it's really hard to put that into like actual practice. I'm like, yeah, my race, my pace, but my pace should be a million miles an hour and I should be getting a bunch of stuff done. It's been really hard to change that narrative in my own mind. And it's taken 2 years and I'm still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
That one's been a really tough one to change. And it's also hard because I've had this experience now kind of throughout the year where my body has been asking for yin during a yang time, during like fiery Aries season and spring and summer. It's almost like that juxtaposition, that opposition. I had to like practice surrendering to my yin even more, put extra effort into it. And I guess I would just want my younger self to know time takes time. Letting yourself have the spaciousness you need to change your mind or to
Mm.
give your body the time and the space it needs to deeply heal. These things, they take longer than I think maybe we want them to. I would just reassure my younger self that taking it slow and easy is totally fine and it's not a weakness.
I like that. That has that theme is true for this next period of time. This is like from about 30 to about 50 years old. So this is a point in my life where lots of big decisions were being made. And I would tell myself to take your time. Make sure that you are happy, not somebody else. You need to be happy. Don't let people rush you. And that's just like almost exactly what you said, is that especially when we're making these big decisions. This is when I retired. Um, I I have not had any children, but this was a period of time when there was, if I was going to have children, this would be the time to do it. Making these big decisions and huge career moves were happening this time. And along with that, this career move is that I retired from the military, and somebody told me, because I struggled with it. They said the army train is going to keep on going. The army doesn't need you. You need you. And don't
Yeah.
make, yeah, I'm just letting that sink in. You need you. Don't get lost in a career, in a relationship, in children, whatever it might be in that period of time that you lose yourself. You need you. You've got to find the balance. Don't make big financial decisions when you're sad.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a huge one. I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. But one regret I had was I made a decision about a car when I was sad. And I really shouldn't have made this particular decision. I should have given myself like another week to think about it. But
Yeah.
I was sad and I was hurting and I was struggling. So I was like, get rid of it. You cannot go back. You can only go forward. No matter how much you want your old life back, or your pre-child life, your pre-career life, your pre-marriage life, your pre-whatever life, you can't go back. You can only go forward. I've got some yoga stuff here. Oh, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Yeah, that reminds me of the butterfly and the cocoon metaphor.
Hmm.
Once the caterpillar starts breaking down in the chrysalis, the only option is to keep metamorphosizing
Yeah.
into the butterfly. There becomes a point where anatomically, physiologically, biologically, it cannot go back to being a caterpillar. That idea kind of, I think, ties in a little bit to taking it slow
Mm-hmm.
is not weak, because slowing way down and being in that like cocoon phase actually takes a tremendous amount of strength and courage, because usually there's sort of personal reckoning, some shadow work type stuff
Mm-hmm.
that goes on. It's usually a challenging and uncomfortable process. It's
Mm.
actually a time where you have to be very courageous and strong. It does take a lot of courage to say, I am not doing that right now. I'm taking a step back for my health or, whatever reason.
There's also just what we said. It's hard to say, I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
That I need more time to think about this. Our society often doesn't have space for us to do that, to take a day to think about a job offer, to take a week to think about selling your car, to take a month before you buy or sell a house. Oftentimes, we don't have the space to be in that I don't know yet phase.
That also takes a lot of courage
Mm-hmm.
to say, I don't know yet. I need more time. It's very kind of countercultural to
Yeah.
do that.
Because often the people who are pressing us for an answer are the ones who have already made up their mind or are buying or selling us something.
Yeah.
So, so they want the answer so they can start the paperwork. Yeah, we need to. I would have told myself in that period of time, 30, 40, 50, just slow down. You need you. Make sure you're happy. Don't make these big decisions when you're not ready. I started my yoga journey and really beginning my teacher trainings and my practices. And I really would go into that yoga studio, find myself sitting on my mat, take my face in between my hands, look myself in the eyes, and say, in yoga, the goal is not to get into every pose. Genetics and body composition have a lot more to do with bodies doing or not doing something than anything else. And then I would really pause here and I would look at myself and I would say, also, there is no goal. There is no goal to this. Let go of your expectations that you're putting on yourself for what your body should or shouldn't be doing. And just flow with it, man. Just flow with it. Don't take it so seriously. Oh my gosh, have more fun with your yoga practice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I needed somebody to tell me that because that was not the message I was getting at the time. That's the message I have now with the way I practice now and with who I practice with now, but that was not the message I had back then. And meditation is a practice too. I was struggling with how to do this. I wanted to read books and listen to people talk about it and take trainings, but I didn't actually do it to get better at meditation, or to build, not better, let me take that back. To build your meditation practice, you need to meditate, not read about meditating. I need to tell my younger self that. There's no right way, better way, easier way to do this. You just keep doing it and you build it to what you need, and slow down. Oh, and also, 45 or 40-year-old me, look around. You're not going to have half of this stuff when you're 50. That piece of furniture, that over there, all these clothes, all of this is going to be gone. That's what I would tell myself. So stop buying it.
I'm going to go out of order on my notes and go to
Do it.
meditation because you brought up meditation.
Yes. Meditation is something that is so incredibly beneficial. And meditation looks different for everyone. And it is something that we really should all be trying to make space for in our lives.
Yeah, meditation is actually one of the steps of a 12-step program. I wish I knew that meditation is more about observing your thoughts and your mind and less about emptying your mind or having a quiet mind, having no thoughts. I think that's a big misconception. And it's a misconception that I had. So I thought I was meditating wrong because I was thinking. But it's actually our mind's job to think thoughts. That is what it is naturally intended to do. It is made to think thoughts. And what was really a kind of turning point in my meditation practice for me was having it explained that in meditation, we watch the process of our thinking. We notice it, we become aware of it. We're looking for patterns. You know, when I'm anxious, what is my mind doing? When I'm struggling to sleep, where does my mind go? What am I getting distracted and daydreaming of? Are they fear-based thoughts? Are they positive, uplifting type thoughts about vacationing on the beach? What is my mind doing? And you're doing so in a non-judgmental way. You're sort of just observing like a scientist and categorizing and studying the patterns of your thinking. And that builds the capacity of self-awareness, and self-awareness precipitates any change that we want to make. So if we can practice noticing our mind through a meditation practice, then outside of meditation in our real lives, we have that capacity to notice and to be aware. And then we can approach personal growth. Because if we don't have that capacity to notice and to be self-aware and to observe our thinking mind, that personal growth is either not going to be possible or it's going to be very, very difficult to enact. We're going to have a pretty difficult time and it's going to be kind of painful. We're going to be like, why aren't we changing? So that noticing, that awareness is so important. And I wish I could tell my younger self too that meditation, it's totally acceptable that meditation can be a moving meditation. I don't love sitting cross-legged and being still for 20 or 30 minutes. And I think for a lot of people that can be difficult because of pain. It's not easy for me anymore to sit the way maybe traditional meditation teachers would teach us to sit in meditation due to various injuries and so on. But I get that effect when I'm out hiking in nature. And that effect being that sensation of being lost in the flow, of feeling connected to something outside of myself. That's what meditation does to me. It gets me out of kind of my human mind and it helps me connect to that pure potentiality, that field where all things are possible.
Mm-hmm.
And meditation helps me feel that sensation of flow. So when I go on a walk in nature, I get those feelings, but I'm moving. I'm not sitting in meditation, but it's a moving meditation. And another way I feel this is when I'm cooking, because, meditation is, I guess, kind of like a synonym could be a single pointed focus.
Mm-hmm.
So for a lot of people, they find that feeling of being lost in the flow when they have that single pointed focus on something like an activity, a hobby, like I said, cooking, because I kind of get absorbed in it. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm totally consumed in making sure I'm not burning the sweet potatoes and that my timing, everything's gonna like sync up and I'm gonna have this meal prepared. I had a friend one time say that for him, that was sailing, because when
Mm.
he was sailing, he had to be 100% focused on sailing. He couldn't have these random thoughts pop into his head and he couldn't run away having like a different train of thought. So he was always returning to the present moment when sailing because, like, kind of like quite literally, his life depended on it. If
Yeah.
he wasn't fully immersed in all the components, he could capsize, he could drown, he could, all these things. And so I would tell my younger self that meditation can be more expansive and include movement and activities.
I like that. I love the when you practicing yoga and you're listening to the teacher say, extend your arm, gaze over your thumb. Oh, now pull your belly in, drop your tailbone down. And you're like doing all these things. And you know what you're not thinking about? Anything else. And then you get into that single point of focus and you get into that place where you're like, I was so in my body, I was not in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So and then going on a long walk when you are just listening to your footsteps and just like, yeah, meditation, we've got to let go of these rules that have been given to us by other people about what meditation is, what things are, what yoga practice is, we need to start um, making our own, right? And that's
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's another way. I just thought of this, but another way to say all that is I want to have a meditative state practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I want to figure out how to be in that state rather than struggling to sit uncomfortably just
I
because
know.
that's what I think I'm supposed to do, or that's like the traditional way.
And that works for a lot of people, but it's not going to work for all the people. That would be another thing that I would tell my younger self is that along with, there is no goal, not all poses are for you. You have to find your way, your practice. But as I'm moving into this next chapter of my life, there's some general um specific health things that I would tell myself. Take better care of your teeth, young me, because I didn't all the time. Take better care of those poor little teeth. It's so easy. Sleep is the answer. No matter what you're questioning about yourself, no matter what your goals are or your priorities, if you're not sleeping, well, I'll say for me, if I'm not sleeping, it's not going to happen. Whether I want to lose weight, gain weight, read a book, start a new project, travel, wake up energized, if I'm not sleeping, none of that is happening. Sleep
Have
is the
you
answer.
It totally is. Have you heard of the acronym HALT?
How are you using it?
So it's when you are feeling cranky, irritable, restless, discontent. It's like a self check-in, and the H is hungry. So if you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling really agitated." Okay, pause. Am I hungry?
Okay.
Okay. The A is angry. The
Mm-hmm.
L is lonely, and the T is tired. And if you answer yes, to any of those, you have like a little intervention time. It's like, okay, now I need to have a snack. Maybe
Yeah.
I need to lie down for 30 minutes, or maybe tonight I need to go to bed
Yeah.
early.
Or you need to phone a friend,
Mhm.
or you need to take a little breathing break for yourself. Yeah, halt.
Yeah.
I like
Mhm.
that. I like that. Yeah, sleep. Take care of your teeth and get some sleep, young me. Oh my gosh. Things will be easier if you have a full night's sleep. I'm telling you that right now. Telling myself that right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And this is me talking to myself. So when I say you, I mean me. And it might be true for you as well, listeners, and you as well, Nicole. But you, young Christina, you cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet. Just eat less and eat better. There you go. The more you eat, the more you eat. The more junk food you eat, the more junk food you're going to eat. It's like the law of attraction. And know who you are today when you are exercising, eating, sleeping, caring for yourself, not who you were last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Who are you today? And what do you need today? Don't be having expectations of myself of a more active or less active person. I'm fully embracing the changes that are happening in my body, the aging that is happening in my body, the wisdom that I am gaining in my body. And I am focused on finding what my body needs today. The right amount of food, the right amount of sleep, the right amount of water, the right amount of exercise, the right amount of meditation. Know yourself and be aware of what you need, not pressing old expectations or new expectations on the self that you are today.
Yeah, that one's really important, and I feel like it's a gift of all the viral stuff that I've
Mm,
been going through. It's really like a day-to-day
mm-hmm.
difference in how much energy I have or what symptoms I'm feeling. And I am finally, after months, starting to soften and change my inner dialogue. I had like a good couple of days, and today it's not the greatest day.
Yeah.
So I need to adjust. And that's hard to do for
Mm-hmm.
me because I want to hold myself to this static standard, but that doesn't benefit me. What is that doing? It's causing, more stress, or it's going to make me feel worse. And that kind of brings me to my third and final one, the word should.
Oh, That
Which I,
word, the S
yeah,
word.
the S word. And people say should. And I think that's their way of saying, this is what worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people mean to should on you. You know, that saying like, stop shitting yourself or don't shit on other people. I think people are trying to package their wisdom as advice, and that's how it comes out. But I would tell my younger self when I hear that, um, I can take it or leave it. Just because somebody is telling me I should meditate for 30 minutes every morning and every night, that's not the only way to have a meditation practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I can take it or leave it, or I can change it. I can take the well meaning parts of that advice and make it my own. And a lot of this kind of ties back into being sick during a young time of year. It's been really hard for me to like live in contrast to the energy of the season, but also just like the energy of our society.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's been, you know, the shoulds that come in the form of cultural expectations are very heavy. And I think slowly but surely I've been letting them go. But even like, you know, should I be married with a family?
Yeah.
Things like that. Um,
It's funny when I was talking about my middle section when I was between 30 and 50, that's when the shoulds were really hitting me. Should I be married? Should I have a child? Should I continue on this career path? Should I change career paths? Those shoulds were so intense during that period of time.
yeah. And I'm 38 now, and it's easy to, especially with social media, to compare and look at other women my age and be like, well, should I have
Mm,
what
yeah.
they have?
Yeah.
The other part of should ties into timing, which I've talked about. Um, Time takes time. So I shouldn't necessarily be better after 5 months just because I've decided 5 months is long enough to be sick. Do I really need to find a partner by 40 and it's too late? You know, when I start to really look at time frames, it's like that doesn't belong to me. That's somebody else's
Mm-hmm.
should. And I have a little note here, reworking neural pathways and embodying habits requires practice, patience, consistency, and rest. And so getting rid of like the shoulds and the time frames altogether, because there's no way to know how long changing your mind is going to take or how long embodying a new habit is going to take. Rewiring our mental and emotional processes takes time. And I mean, I just think about in my early 30s, like I should feel a certain way after working on it for a month.
Yeah.
And really, here I am years later, finally starting to see the results of these habits I've been trying to build.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to, I think, build habits with consistency because that's what builds self trust. And when we keep micro commitments to ourselves, that's when our goals start to materialize rather than arbitrarily deciding in our mind when something should happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just tell myself to do my best, and I'm going to get further faster by practicing patience and consistency and giving myself tons of rest rather than trying to force it and drive it forward and operating from the shoulds.
The S word. The should.
Yeah, just drop
Mm.
it from my vocabulary and I heard something the other day. Real peace comes when I accept nothing has to be different. So if I'm sitting here saying, should, I'm creating tension, I'm creating resistance because I'm saying whatever should be different.
Yeah.
But real peace comes when I accept nothing has to be different.
Oh my gosh. It's a little truth bomb right there. I think us sharing these little pieces of our soul is good.
I think what I shared, if I would have known it when I was younger, would have had the most profound, like, transformational effect on my spiritual growth,
Yeah.
which I value and prioritize today. Like, my values are no longer like acquiring material possessions or climbing the financial ladder. So the wisdom I would give to my younger self is based on my value system of today and would have helped me walk that path with greater ease.
Mm-hmm. That's how I thought about it. Just as you said that, is that what I value now is my freedom and the experiences that I've had, not the things that I have. So, as a young person, when I was in my 20s or 30s, and I am spending X amount of dollars on a pair of jeans and not going to dinner and having a deep conversation with a person or an experience with the person, I would have gained more from the experience and not the possession. That's what that, like, I think we're both saying the same thing. It's like, that's at the crux of what we're saying, is that my focus was on the accumulation and the and making the accumulation of things and living up to some standard that was set by other people.
Mm-hmm.
My job,
And
or
you,
living
you
up to
know,
the expectation of what my priorities should have been as a 25-year-old woman, which was searching for a romantic partner and acting and being a way that made the people around me comfortable with who I was.
yeah, that really, when you said that about, I wish my younger self knew what age I would get married because I
Mm-hmm.
would have enjoyed talking to other people because it's almost like there's this like agenda. We are
Yes.
assessing like, are you my person? Are we compatible? Do I like, you know, things about you? Do you check my boxes? And I think kind of what you already said, like what our lists have in common is how to be happier in our own skin, but
Mm-hmm.
how to more thoroughly enjoy experiences.
With
And
Without being worried about why you're going to dinner with that person and what that means. It doesn't matter what it means to you why I'm having dinner with this person, but I was so overcome with the thought of pleasing everybody around me and doing the right thing and following those shoulds and
mm-hmm,
shouldn'ts that I didn't give myself the opportunity to have as many experiences as I could have had, and as many friendships as I could have had, and conversations that I could have had. And I was overly focused with the pursuit of one romantic partner and the pursuit of accumulating possessions that society told me had value and gave me worth, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was, the car, the house, the clothes, whatever. It didn't even matter what it was. I can't even tell you. The dishes, the comforter. I don't even know. But the accumulation of things was a way of having value and success. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And being
And if
successful.
I look at the inverse of my list, when I was younger, I was pursuing productivity.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite of taking it slow and easy was cramming my day full and trying to be as productive as possible because that somehow translated to success.
Mm-hmm.
Speed and all that, all the yang meant I would like attain more faster.
And what's interesting? There were people in my life, work colleagues, who lived the way that I'm saying right now, I wish I had given myself permission to live, which was have just the amount of things they need, like no furniture, a car that just got them back and forth. And they traveled extensively, or they had it like they were skydivers, or they were hikers, or they were kayak. They had a passion hobby, but they didn't accumulate things. And then there was also people who didn't take searching for partnerships so seriously and dated and hung out with and had relationships with all kinds of people that they had no intention of marrying without any sort of feelings that society was pressing on them. Do you know? Because that's essentially what it is. It's not how we care. It's like we think other people think something about us, but they really who cares? Who cares what other people think? There were people with this freedom that I envied when I was that age. And I'll call
Yeah.
it freedom because to me, that's freedom.
Yeah. And I think I'm coming from a place now where I value freedom as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's freedom from really, yeah, other people's
Yeah.
expectations and what they think of me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Woo. Okay. Let's see what the message from the universe is. I've got 2 cards from the Goddess Power Oracle Guidebook. So you can pick card A or card B. Card A is Lilith. The empowerment message from Lilith is: the Jewish goddess Lilith refused to be dominated by the first man, and as a result was called a demon in the stories about her that followed. These inaccurate and damaging stories are so old and repeated so often that no one recognizes how pervasive their implications are. From another perspective, Lilith offers this lesson. No one can prevent you from fully blooming, from learning all you can, from evolving and choosing freedom. Only your conditioned thinking can do that. Be proud, be accountable, claim your power, and hold it wisely. Right now, you are in an excellent position to attract healthy, interdependent, collaborative relationships that truly serve the highest good. Friendships flourish with mutual respect and support. Love relationships bloom with ample space for both parties to grow. Business ventures thrive in service to the greater good. The goddess Lilith wants to show you the way to claim a healthy self-worth and self-respect by refusing to let your old stories keep you down. You will be amazed at how deep, meaningful, and respectful your experience becomes in all areas of your life when you make choices from a place of empowered independence.
Pretty appropriate.
Yes. Card B is Ma'at, truth, the empowerment message from Ma'at. There is great power in telling the truth and allowing it to lead you to higher ground. It's only when we refuse to see the reality of a situation that we lose our power to co-create for the highest good. The Egyptian goddess, Ma'at, comes to remind you that if you are willing to do a fearless self inventory and live authentically with rigorous honesty, it will lead you to great success in all areas of your life. Being completely transparent with others, although it might at first feel too vulnerable, is exactly what you need to do now. When you do this, you will be flooded with the power to claim and experience a new freedom and a new happiness that will pour over your life like a wild, sweet honey. Your life is exactly where it needs to be. This is a wonderful time of empowered choice making. You are doing all the right things if you follow the invitation of Ma'at to live fearlessly in truth. As the arbiter of balance and divine order, she reminds you of the great value of this way of being.
Wow, those were lovely.
Goddesses, thank you for that message. I needed to hear both of those messages.
Yeah, those were awesome. Well, we have Leo next week, our final zodiac sign.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. We've done the year, and I feel like I want to do the year again because I keep learning more and more stuff about the signs and about the cycle of nature and the wheel of the year.
Thank you, listeners. We love you. Take good care, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Radical. The Radical is written and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Listener questions can be emailed to us at theradicalpodnc@gmail.com.
Our Instagram is The Radical Pod.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music.